because that ran a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. Okay, so next up is Preserving History by Alexandra Horowitz. Okay, it would put the characters. I'm actually reading. This is, yeah, that's mine. Yeah, this is mine. Okay. So, all right, Amelia Gray will be read by Melissa Fortson, and Zoe will be read by Alex Hewitt, and I will be reading nothing. I mean, I'm just going to introduce them and give the time, okay? And that's it. And then there will be no stage directions after that, okay? Professor Gray's office in a University Classics department. Time is the present, but the room could have looked the same decades ago. There are large stacks of books on her desk, and Professor Gray is sorting them into various boxes. There are chairs and desks, bookshelves along the walls, and a bust of Homer in the corner. So we have a bust of Shakespeare. Pretend. Okay, please enjoy. Okay, Preserving History by Alexandra Horowitz.
Early Greek, early Roman, early Greek commentary, early Roman commentary, no, late Roman here. Early Greek, damn it.
Too many books.
The books are not an issue. Books are precious conduits.
For ancient voices. I agree. Still, they're heavy and they take up space. Maybe I can help you with this.
So,
Happy retirement!
that, as yet, remains an oxymoron.
No wonder. Look at this office. It still hasn't changed since I was a student. Same prints on the wall, same busted Homer in the corner. There must be 30 years worth of books in here.
My dear, have you appeared unannounced after all this time to critique my interior design?
Well, I tried to announce myself. I emailed several times. You never answered.
You might have tried pen and paper. Anything worthwhile will be written on paper.
Don't you use email? You couldn't possibly have built this whole department without email.
Only insofar as I need to do my job. Now then,
It seems like to me that what if we organize these by genre instead of time period? History here, and drama here. What else we've got? Poetry here, philosophy here. We could do Greek on one side, Latin on the other. Oh, you can break it down further into, if you'd like to, epic poets here, lyric poets here, those who use dactylic hexameter here, and other meters here. Does that work for you? I read about the department moving to smaller offices. It was on the university's Facebook page.
so that you know the university has decided not to replace me.
Perhaps you're irreplaceable.
They are shrinking the department through attrition. Too few students interested in hearing ancient voices, Homer and Virgil subject to the laws of supply and demand. It is an unfortunate reality of our time.
I'm sure there's a way.
My dear, one can only do so much to save the future from its own ignorance. I have tried for many years.
Maybe it's just a temporary lull. Progress isn't necessarily linear. You've always said so yourself. Look at the epic heroes. Odysseus wanders for 10 years before reaching home. Aeneas never even sees Rome, but it can't be built without him.
My dear, Aeneas, you will recall, leaves the burning city of Troy with his father on his back and his son in his hand. It is entirely different.
How?
He carries the past on his back. He holds the future by the hand. That is the point of the story. past and future, the integrity of Roman civilization, of any civilization, depends on this synthesis. That is the poet's message. How can any civilization advance without embracing its past? Tell me. Did you regret not writing your thesis? I hope you did. I hope you suffered immeasurably.
No regrets. So sorry to disappoint. Again.
What a shame.
What's this?
That is my last decision to make as a department chair. It is an offer to endow a chair in my name, an anonymous offer.
Are you serious? That's amazing. That could save the department.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. I thought you'd be ecstatic.
I would be more ecstatic if the donor were willing to take responsibility. Why, do you think, would someone wish to remain anonymous?
I don't know. It's not unheard of.
The timing is curious.
The timing is perfect. I don't understand. You hesitate because...
Because even anonymous offers come with strings, Zoe, whether they are articulated or not. Enough. Tell me about yourself. With what do you occupy yourself professionally since you abandoned the classics?
Actually, I still work in classics.
You teach.
Not exactly. I've developed a series of podcasts on Greek and Roman writers to encourage middle and high school students to take on the interest in classics. You know, we make poetry and philosophy fun, so they'll study them.
Podcasts that make poetry and philosophy fun.
Yes, the podcasts tie into an online curriculum with songs and games and cyber scavenger hunts in ancient cities. Here, I actually brought you a flash drive. So you can see for yourself. The graphics are unbelievable. So realistic that you'll think they actually had cameras at the Parthenon. As students become engaged, they learn grammar and vocabulary, but I still try to keep it fun, make sure they don't lose interest.
Good God.
It's been incredible. The kids are really into it. The most advanced groups are already reading Homer.
And you do this for profit.
Theoretically, yes, but my main goal is to raise a new generation of classicists.
Have you lost your mind?
Why? Because I'm giving Homer an online platform?
He's got a pedestal. He does not need a platform.
With all due respect, the platform's working a little better at the moment.
You degrade the greatest works of Western civilization?
Degrade?
So, the ancient works speak to us because of their truth. This platform of yours only proselytize. It cannot preserve the truth.
And that's what they said about the printing press.
They said no such thing.
Well, they could have.
You compare yourself to Gutenberg?
Of course not. Well, maybe inadvertently. I don't know. Look, I am bringing Greek and Latin into the classrooms across the country. And you yourself know they are disappearing.
And this is how you choose to do it.
Why not? If it works. Schools everywhere are taking Homer out of their curriculum, even in translation. Apparently, he's white and male. Did you know that? Way back when? I don't ever remember you discussing that in class.
Of course he's white and male. He wrote nearly 3,000 years ago. Anyone who had a voice was white and male.
Not Sappho. That's who they're teaching now. The ones who are teaching Greek at all.
Sappho. A poet in her own right, but nonetheless.
She's a woman and a lesbian. She's been marginalized for 2 millennia. Hard to compete with that.
You've gone mad.
But I found a way.
All those screens, they've rotted your brain.
And it works.
How? By exchanging candy for Play-Doh and Ovid? By enticing students with frivolous games? Such a method is antithetical to that of the ancient texts themselves, whose volumes are replete with stories of heroic duty.
You're missing the point.
No, you are. You could have made a real contribution to the field
I am making a contribution to the field
of classical scholarship. When the ancient city of Troy is burning to the ground, Aeneas is given a mandate: sail to Italy, establish the Roman Empire out of the ashes of Troy. Rome is destined for greatness. Troy has been destroyed. Its gods are already obsolete, some might say. Yet, Aeneas takes the Trojan gods with him, literally carries their statues with him. It is a part of his profound
It was never
mission
about commitment.
to ensure continuity between Troy and Rome, a resting place for the past and the future, a grounding for the future in the past.
I couldn't spend another 3 years of my life in the library, staring at the laptop. I was never going to be someone who could do that, even when I thought I could be.
So you've said.
It's not great scholarship. I'll give you that. But there is a place for that. More and more schools across the country are adopting this technology. More students are sticking with the program. There's a whole world out there where it's working.
Then why are you here?
I don't know anymore.
It's you, isn't it?
What's me? Me? Where would I get that kind of money?
From your thriving business.
Oh, you can't be serious. Do you know what it would take?
I could never accept it. Surely you know that. Did you think I could? That I would somehow be complicit in this farce, this charade of yours?
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Don't I? You came here for validation.
I came here because I Googled your age and realized there weren't many opportunities left. I have no idea who sent that letter. All I knew is that it was now or never. And I couldn't bear the thought of never.
My dear, what do you think will happen when they tire of the fun and games? You offer them instant gratification in return for civilization's timeless voices. Do you really think they'll listen once the games grow old? Who will hear the timeless voices then?
Who will hear them otherwise?
Go and fetch that book. Yes, go on. Now, come sit. Do you remember when Aeneas begs his father to flee the burning city of Troy?
The old man refuses to leave home, even with his own son and grandson.
Find his response and translate.
Here I am, and here I shall stay. Say your farewells and depart. I will bring about death with my own hand. He gives up.
He remains rooted.
Yes, but only for a moment. Then he changes his mind. He goes with them. He sees a sign from the gods and realizes there is a future. It's not the one he envisioned, but he accepted. He has faith in it, even.
And do you really think this future will sustain him?
I think it's worth finding out.
You're an ignorant fool. You can't save Virgil and Homer with a podcast.
Watch me.
Okay, as soon as we need to get Alexandra up here to clear this clutter here.
Oh God, this was so lovely.
Yeah. Have a seat. Okay, we make this was like about a 10-minute play, so 10-minute discussion. Yeah. Anyway, thoughts. I found this positively so much, fun, and it's like a moose bouche, and I thought everything was in it that needed to be in it. That's just my take on it. Any thoughts? Anybody? Yes.
Well, I first of all, yay. As an avid listener of about 6 different history-based podcasts, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Love that you decided. So my question is, what inspired you to write this?
So I think a couple of things. One is watching my kids go through school and watching, and one of their friends actually went to a very good school where they taught Latin this way, and the kids were watching video games and speaking to each other in Latin. And as somebody who took Latin forever, I was pretty horrified by the whole thing. And I thought about, like, I came from a very sort of traditional type education that had sort of, Miss Jean Brodie type teachers, and I thought, oh my God, like, if I'm reacting this way, how would they have reacted? So on one level, it's that. And then on another level, I was just, it's sort of my response to midlife crisis, I think, where you're thinking about past and future, not necessarily in academic terms, but, in personal terms and societal terms, how do you sort of hold on to what's valuable about the past and reconnect with it when you lost it, and then synthesize it enough to carry it forward in the future. So.
Well done. And good choices of plays, by the way.
Thank you.
And poetry to pull out.
Thank you.
There's another
We'll talk
one.
afterwards.
Yeah. No, there's another question on that wall.
Go ahead, Stephen.
I think it was really powerful that the professor goes back to the story of Aeneas. I did 3 years of Latin about 1,000 years ago. And, for us, it was Cicero and Catiline, the debates, and those stories are so powerful. And I think it was a really powerful device, if you will, that you used in your script to go back to that story and to have the the younger woman go through it, find it, and translate it. So that really worked well.
Thank you.
Valerie?
This is very timely, I think. I've been at my college, I'm at Howard Community College for 40 years, and we have a new president. She's very young, very hip, and she's using the term gamification. And she wants gamification to be introduced into everything. And of course, many of the older faculty are like, oh! What? Fun in the classroom? Oh my God! I'm seeing the younger faculty going, cool, So I think it's very timely, and what you brought up, and I have to say, I mean, I'm in between the let's have fun and the and I think it's opening eyes, and I think that's what you've done with this.
Thank you. I mean, I'm sort of in between that too,
Yeah.
right? I mean, part of me says, well, it doesn't have to be fun, so what if it's fun? Like, it wasn't necessarily fun when we did it, but we learned it, and it's valuable in the long run, so, and part of me says, well, of course it has to be engaging, or how do you engage? You can't engage students.
That's what the older faculty are saying. not gamification, engagement. They feel much more comfortable with
I know all these
that word.
loaded words. Anyway, thank you.
I think what I think is interesting is how, how it relates to everything with social media and it just ties into all of that. I mean, some of the kids today have the attention span, if it is, like that. You mean I have to sit through this for like 20 minutes? Yes. Okay. It just, and yet, I mean, I still write notes. I still write thank you notes out on mail note. So I get a text from my grandchildren, thanks now for taking us out, and I'm grateful, okay, because at least I'm getting a thank you. So, but that's the new world. I mean, it is what it is, and we're in a technology-related world. So.
Well, and it does, like, I remember a friend of mine from graduate school said this 25 years ago, she said this, is that you could see when we were all teaching undergrads, that you could see the effects of MTV on kids' writing because there was no kind of progression of thought. It was just idea, and that was 25 years. That was long before social media.
Right.
Even.
I wrote my grandson a thank you note because he sent me something, and he couldn't read it because he doesn't read cursive. And I was like, they just print. They print everything.
Because it's printed on.
Yeah, they print everything. I mean, they don't even teach cursive in school anymore.
How long will it be before the U.S. government says you can't mail a letter in cursive? It won't be that long in the
Yeah,
future.
well, read my
Seems
lips.
extreme.
I'm not paying your bill then. But it just, I just think it's an interesting perspective, and I like that you put it into history and the dynamics between the two characters, the teacher and the student, and that the student has decided to teach in this way to carry on something that she loves. So, anybody else? Briefly?
I have a question. The envelope. Am I correct that we don't know where it came from at the end?
We don't know where it came from in the end. I mean, I had originally I didn't want it to come from the student. I mean, I wanted it to come from
You seem
outside.
to have
Like,
negative
she
that,
wasn't there because she gave money and she was trying to, and then in one of the drafts that I was presenting in a playwriting workshop that I wrote this in, someone thought that, it was obvious that she had, so then I toned it down. But I think the end, yes, you don't know in the end.
Okay. And then, so basically that represents a way that the teacher's craft and expertise could be transmitted into the future. And she seems to be intent upon that not happening. And so is that sort of the sum of what you're attempting to do with that?
I think what I was attempting to do is she's such a purist about, literature for literature's sake. I mean, not that I'm denigrating that, but she's just such a purist that the idea of, what are the motives behind this? I mean, I guess it's sort of old school academics, but, like professors who don't want to get involved in the financial side or think about how things, the department's funded and they're tenured and they're in it for, the life of the mind. And that, so that's sort of what I was trying to portray.
Not gamification.
Not gamification, like what, can that sort of purity of purpose exist, I guess? Does it exist? What happens when it exists and you reject everything else?
I guess my thought is just endowed chairs is the way the game has been played for a long time. It's not like an innovation.
Right, of course, yeah. As hers probably was. But to keep sort of a wall between the endowers and the people occupying the chairs.
Well, it's interesting to that point because I had the same thought. I thought the same way you did, but I also had the thought that you are turning your back on continuing your own legacy out of fear of the motivations of a stranger. And that kind of thinking can hold people back and can hold communities back and can hold all of us back from advancing and enjoying what we've built and being able to continue that. And I thought that was an interesting side aspect of the story.
Right, and it does hold her back, right? Because I think it's about being so committed to something in principle and being uncompromising about it, whatever it is.
To the detriment sometimes, yeah.
So, listen, I'd like to thank everybody. We have one more play coming up.